he got on Twitter and he started talking about, I ain't acrobatic, I'm not flipping on my bros. You would have thought Ja Morant was in a gang and not an NBA player. You're like, what? Bro, you're what? And it seeps onto the court. The way Ja Morant carries himself on the court, he thinks he's some sort of big bad goon that'll get you clapped. Ja has a $200 million contract with the Memphis Grizzlies. Do you know how much money that is? Ja Morant has a deal with Nike. Nike is thinking about giving Ja Morant his own shoe deal. They just got rid of Kyrie Irving. Ja Morant is the perfect replacement for Kyrie Irving. He's a high-flying guard that Nike would love to be in partnership with. This jeopardizes that. You can't be in the same headlines that has guns or beating 17-year-olds in it. You can't. It just does not look good for your brand. Even if it was for self-defense, you cannot. Because you have to realize you're representing more than yourself. For instance, in a report, it said that Ja Morant swung first in self-defense after the kid threw the ball at him. That's not the way to handle that situation. The way to handle that situation is to de-escalate it. The way to handle that situation is you remove yourself away from him. You tell him, all right, I'm done. You stop playing. You walk away. You don't let your emotion get the better of you. You walk away. You get other people to deal with it. Get him off the premise because it was his house, right? And if the kid threatens you, you let him know you will not tolerate being threatened. I will get police, law enforcement on you. You remove yourself from that situation. You cannot fight him back because that's going to make headlines. That's not the type of guy Nike wants to be in partnership with. It's not the type of guy that Gatorade wants to represent them or Powerade wants to represent them. Ja Morant really has to clean up his act and he really has to smarten up. Because in the last year, he's made a lot of headlines that are starting to turn people off from him. And that's one thing I've realized. The public is starting to turn on Ja Morant. I really turned on Ja Morant. I really used to like Ja Morant. Prior to 2022, I really liked Ja Morant. But then I started realizing Ja Morant, I'm not really into him, right? Why? Because he comes off as corny. And what I've realized is anytime Ja Morant's mentioned online, on Twitter or anything, people are hoping for the downfall of him and the Grizzlies. Why? Because of the corny stuff that he's doing, acting like he's gangster play, has a $200 million contract, but then also his team. His teammates suck. His teammates, Dillon Brooks, nobody likes Dillon Brooks. Why? Because he's a dirty player. But also, the Memphis Grizzlies talk so much trash. And it would be one thing if they actually won. They talk so much trash, but they haven't won anything. And that's what turns people off. It's cockiness, not confidence, when you haven't won anything. And when you walk around talking trash like you own the place, you want to fight Shannon Sharp, Ja Morant thinking he's in a gang, he's in YSL, it's so cringe. And if Ja Morant continues to hang out with the people that he's hanging out around right now, he's going to get himself into an incident that's actually going to land him in jail one of these days because he doesn't seem to realize that he doesn't have to be so reactionary all the time. And that's one of the things I've noticed about Ja Morant. He's reactionary. He feels he needs to react to everything. And Ja doesn't seem to grasp that. And he needs to smarten up because he's corny. It's just corny. When everyday people look at this, when everyday people read the headline, Ja Morant accused of beating 17-year-old and putting a gun on, you know what they think? Oh my God, he's so stupid. Why? Because they think if I were in that position, the last thing I would be doing is fighting 17-year-olds. The last thing I would be doing is trying to act hood. I'm trying my very best to get out of the hood. I never want to see the hood. I just want to feed my family, get this money, and focus on basketball. That's what I would be doing. I don't want to be associated with anything with the hood. That's what everyday people on Twitter, when they read that headline, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't even matter if it's true or not. The very fact that it's a headline is already damaging enough. And Ja needs to understand that. But yes, guys, those are just my thoughts on Ja Morant's story. If you like this kind of content, make sure to hit the subscribe button, leave a like, and until next time, kids.